Okay, welcome to another Shop Talk. Today, just going to be a bit of a talk about smartphones, or in my case, an iPhone. So all my videos are made on an iPhone. I'm making this video now. I'll actually probably edit this video on my iPhone with iMovie inside the phone. Sometimes I use my laptop, sometimes I just do it on the go on the phone. And I just started to realise how much, it's not that I rely on it, but how much I use my iPhone in my work. First of all, as I said, starting the YouTube channel, that's all done with the phone. But even now I'm using a new moisture meter, which I'm going to do a video on later, but I'll talk a little bit about it today, which is absolutely amazing, a Wagner moisture meter, the 950. I've started logging, that has an iPhone app, and I've started logging all the wood drying in my kiln and the process of drying. I even go to clients' houses sometimes and I take moisture readings if they live in an big old manor house or something that's a bit damp, try and get the tables or big bits of furniture, wide slabs, try and get them in their house around about the right humidity. I think Wagner call it EMC. So I kind of check that. That's all done on an iPhone. Obviously, I use the calculator on my phone all the time. I use a conversion app which converts inches, metric to imperial, for instance, or if I'm doing resin pours, weight to volume. There is so much. So I thought I'd go through a few of the apps that I use today. I'm going to go back in depth on the Wagner, and I'm going to go back in depth on the Kiln when I do the Wagner video, when I do the Kiln video. In fact, there's going to be a few on both of those coming up soon. I thought I'd share some of them with you today, and then hopefully in the comments you can share some with me. So if I show you one and you've got a better one, put it in the comments so that everyone can read it and we can share it. So I don't think there's a way on an iPhone to do a screen record, but I can do a screenshot. So I'll do a screenshot and I'll kind of talk through what you're seeing on the screen for the app. And I'd like to know, you guys, also run my heating for my resin room and other parts of the workshop. That's all done on an app, so that I can keep the moisture content, or the relative humidity, moisture content, temperature at the correct place without me having to check. Oddly enough, even my barn, I have a security camera in the barn, which I'm checking constantly. This time of year, that is mainly checking for lambing. So we're just about to lamb again. Instead of me getting up all hours of the night, if I wake up, I can just look on the iPhone and see what's going on in the little pen. So let's dig into a few apps. And I'd love to know in the comments, we'll speak again at the end, I'd love to know in the comments what you guys use, if you know better ones, or more interesting ones for us woodworkers and designers. Let's have a look. Okay, first thing is, on an iPhone you can do a screen grab. You can add this to your settings. It's in the settings somewhere, in general I think, and then you capture. So let's look at the first thing, which is more relevant to what we're doing right now, which is YouTube. So this video that I'm working on, believe it or not, I'm actually recording it on my iPhone and editing it on my iPhone. So you can go to your iMovie, which is a free app. You can chop it up, add bits in here. You can even go in and do your fades, 1.5 seconds, 20 seconds. Even your titles, everything, you speed stuff up, slow it down as you've seen. Put your titles in here, standard titles, as you've seen everyone do. So all of that can be done on an iPhone, which is amazing. No need for having some expensive computer, and you straight from the iPhone. What I choose to do is I send that to my computer, save as file down here. I check 1080p, send it to my computer and upload it to YouTube, just in case something happens and it goes missing, but the iPhone will actually upload to YouTube. Okay, now to the woodworking ones. First of all, let's look at some conversions. So the calculator, not that one. Here, calculator, we all know this is really good, really easy. I wouldn't recommend using this in the resin room. I try not to touch my phone in the resin room, but in the workshop, wood workshop, fine. And then there's quite a few unit converters here. I've actually ended up buying one, this one here called Converter Pro. I looked around for the free ones and whatnot. So you can see it does everything, lengths, volumes. I'm mainly using this, so I'm going in here. Either feet or inches seems to be a main thing I'm converting all the time. So go to millimeters, so we've got inches, we've got 20 inches, and there's a metric. Switch it over, you can go, I don't know, like 200 millimeters, and then you get what it is in inches. So that's really handy. I also use this quite a lot in the resin room for volume, so we can calculate volume, cubic volume, and all that stuff. So that's really cool. If you found another one of these that's better, it's even got a like acceleration thing. It's got weight, mass, currency, area. It's pretty cool. for doing calculations on the areas and stuff. So I found that one the best. Before I was using that one, I was using this little unit one here, which is okay. The adverts annoyed me, and the way that this, it was quite hard to swap this thing round. I just wasn't getting on with this one, so I ended up buying that other one, which I like. Hard to find a link for these, but if you just look here, Converter Pro, that's really good. Okay, now we dig into the woodwork folders. This is my woodwork folder. First of all, we'll go for the heating. So my resin room, where is here, is actually controlled by an app, which is really cool. And you can see here on the resin room, if you look on the bottom right, you can see humidity at the moment is 75. There's no resin being poured at the moment, and the heating's off. It's 7 in there. This does sort of cut in automatically to stop the pipes freezing, which is cool, but I can remotely monitor this while I'm away for, you know, or overnight, whatever, just to see what's going on with humidity levels, which is what I always follow, and the heating. So that's called TADO, or TADO, T-A-D-O. I've just chose that one. That's simply a little replacement for your room stat, and then it works wirelessly. The next one is this Norwood Sawmill. So I really like this. I bought this. This calculates. It can do it in imperial, but in the UK, unfortunately for you guys in the US, we're in metric. So what it would do, if you look here, if I move this top one, so length of a board, let's say the board is, I don't know, a reasonable length. Let's say it's 4 meters long. Then you get the width of the board in centimeters. So 1/2 meter wide. And then the thickness in mil. What's a nice table? Well, I don't know, a nice table is 45-50 mil finished, so 50 mil. And then how many planks you're going to be using, and you can get it down here what's going on in each plank and the total. So this is really good if you're in the wood yard and you want to calculate how much stuff's going to cost when you're doing, you know, your cubic meter. The other thing it does is weight, which is really interesting. Now I've never actually checked this, but you can look at the species. So you could look at chestnut, which I love using, and then put those in, and it's going to give you the approximate weight of a board in English chestnut. I'm sure it's right because it's done on density, and you can see what you're going to be putting in your trailer. So really good little app. Wasn't much money. I found that really useful. So if you've seen that one before, haven't seen it before, there you go. If not, if you've got a better one, let me know. Okay, so next up, my new moisture meter, which is the Wagner 950. And what's really cool about the 950 is you can connect it to your iPhone. I wasn't sure if I was going to use this, but I absolutely live by it now. So I'll give you a quick run through. As I said before, I will be doing an in-depth on this app and on the moisture meter over the coming weeks. So there's a couple of projects I've got on the go at the moment. Let's look at, say, kitchen tops. These are some large slabs. There's some ash and some English elm. These readings are done in my kiln. So if we go in date order, let's say on the 18th, it's going to show you equilibrium moisture content, which is something I'm really getting into. So if you visit your client's house and you can, rather than saying this piece of furniture needs to be, people always ask me, what should the moisture content be? Yeah, it should be down around between about 8 and 11. I mean, in the UK, averages around 10 and 11, sometimes about 9. But this gives you a good idea, and also the equilibrium bit gives you the kind of surrounding content. So maybe the ultimate aim, if the room averages out at around about 12, then the wood needs to be around about 12. So this meter does more than just read where the wood is, but it reads where the environment is, which is really cool in my kiln. So if we look at the first reading, this is the time of day, the top one here, 13%. What I did, so the reason there's 3, sometimes 4 readings, this board is about nearly 4 meters long. So every 800, I drop the meter on, do a reading, it pings it into this top one, move it along about 800, ping it again, and these are the readings, so I get an average along the board. So that is one board reading from right to left down there on the 18th. And then if we close that, that was the ash. And then you can go down on the same day, and you can go in here and the elm. So, well, this is elm at the top, if you see, and the SG, which is like the wood type, changes. So on elm, it's 57. Go back here, on ash, it's 58. So not a lot different. And it'll just give you an idea, so you can see how this app works. I did 3 readings, 4 readings on the elm board. You can see 12. Sorry, this is the ash board again. Go back to the elm. Here we go, elm. So I did 3 readings. It's a smaller board. So at the top of the board was 11, and as I moved down, it was 9, 15, 11. So pretty average along the board. What's great about this meter, if you look here, it does 3/4 of an inch, so around about 20 mil read. Now, most of my boards are, I don't know, 50 mil. Let's say they're 50 mil. So if you read the top and the bottom of the board, you've virtually got to the core, which is why I got this meter over my old one, because it goes that much deeper. So this app is really good. Now what I've done, I've added some products here from the manual to give me my SG readings. So this is common ones that I use. So if I want some ash, you can add that. So the way it works, if you go to here, go right back to the beginning and create a job. So if we call this job YouTube, you can see all my typos happening in real time, and say add. You then switch to record, and you can then pick the job. So we pick YouTube down the bottom. Then you can pick your location. Mine's either going to be Manor Wood Yard or Manor Wood Kiln. So let's say it's Manor Wood Kiln, which is where a reading would be done. What's in the kiln today? There's some chestnut in there because I've already told it it's 5.1. Simple as that. And then you just hit summary, hit record, and then summary. And now that is empty. If I put my moisture meter down on that piece of wood and hit send, you would see it as you did in the list down the bottom. It would start listing all the things. It's also really good when you go to a client's house. You can find out what their equilibrium moisture content is, see what their house is like before you deliver, see the EMC. And just click on some furniture they've got, store it in here, bring it back to the shop, and then when you're building your furniture, let's say you was in their dining room, it will give you the EMC in their dining room. You can click on their current dining table, store some readings what their dining table was, and then before you deliver your table, you can get it just right for the environment. Absolute game changer. Okay, so while we're on the kiln, as I've promised, I will be showing a kiln build, and I'll be doing an in-depth on the build of the kiln, how the kiln performs. I'll even be giving some specs on how long to dry wood and stuff. And over on the Patreon channel, there's a more interactive thing all about the kiln. There's already the early stages of the build on there, and I've given out some SketchUp plans as well, which are going to be available soon on Etsy. But anyway, let's look at it. This is an app that I totally rely on, similar to the moisture meter. This is the fans in the kiln. I have 4 fans, and they're on a timer, and I can switch them on and off. That's switched them on wherever I am in the world. It doesn't need to be around the workshop, it can be anywhere over the internet. And more importantly, this is my stat and my moisture meter. So I can see the relative humidity in the kiln is 41. That's the temperature in the kiln. I've set a timer for a cycle for the kiln to go on and off, and you can manually override that just by the press of the button. Now my dryers come on. My dryer responds to not only the timer, but you can program the dryer to go on and off with different moisture content or different heat even. And I've got a third one coming. I've not needed it so far, which will be a third button, which will be some heating tubes. So I can actually have heat without dehumidifier or dehumidifier without heat, etc., etc. Most of the time I have the fan and I have the kiln switching on at the same time over a certain period, goes on and off. But this is a game changer because again, I can just dip in wherever I am and see what the temperature, and I monitor it over time. So every couple of days I go to my Wagner meter, ping in some readings for whichever project I'm on, change the wood type, then I switch back and then keep an eye on that to see what kind of drying times I should expect, and I don't want to case harden the wood anymore. So those 2 things have been absolutely incredible. So what with those top 3 and my workshop having also having a relative humidity meter, etc., it's really been a game changer over the last 2 years. So last app for today. Unfortunately, we all need CCTV these days. This one is an app. It shows the yard. It shows you can look at your forklift truck, my wood store. I've got cameras inside, outside. Mainly at the moment this time of year it's lambing, so we have it set on this, and we can keep an eye on the sheep without having to keep running in and out. So it's interesting because there's a lot of talk these days, and I understand it, about screen time, but I've got to be honest, these apps have absolutely transformed the way I work and the amount of time I have to spend checking on things. Okay, that's it for this week's update. I hope you found that interesting. Even if you're not into your smartphones or your gadgets, you can see how running a small business, and with these apps, these interactive apps, a lot of them are free. It's so easy to keep your eye on things without having to run around all the time. You can just have a little quick look. So really interesting. Now, I'm not going to go in depth on the comments answering questions about all the stuff I've just shown. I've just done a kind of show and tell really. I just was looking at my phone the other day, taking it for granted how much I do on it, and I just thought I'd share it with you all. I will, if I get enough comments on different things, I will come back and do in-depth videos on these particular apps or how I use them or whatnot. As I said, the Kiln builds come in. This incredible moisture meter with how to do it on the app, that's coming anyway. That's where we can get in depth and interactive on the comments. Just share in the comments below if you've got better apps or different apps, or something maybe I've not seen, and everyone can read it and we can do it. But I really don't want to get into going into in-depth on the comments because there's just too much stuff I've covered. But I still hope you found it interesting anyway, and I'll see you all on the next one. And to my Patreons, the new crew on the Patreons page, thank you so much. There's loads of stuff coming, loads of interactive on there as well. So I really, really appreciate it. You definitely help me make these videos. See you all later. Bye.